Well, we have major developments on the battlefield, isn't it? We have major developments on the battlefield, dear friends. According to several sources, Russian militaries have liberated the city of Seversk, by the way, in the northern part of DPR. Fight for Seversk and surrounding areas were going on for basically practically since the beginning of special military operation, right? Russian militaries were not really focused on Seversk, generally speaking, that much, but nevertheless, there was a constant fighting around Seversk that were happening for the last several years. And lately, Russian militaries definitely activated their operations, especially after Serebryanka forestry were cleared from their hostile forces on the northern side of Seversk. And I don't know what happened, by the way. I don't know what happened, but Kiev regime's garrison just freaking collapsed in the city. Literally in a few days' time, Seversk became under full Russian control. Great news for Russian side, obviously. Clearing operation is underway in the settlement. Videos are circulating now when Russian troops are moving in different parts of their city, on the north, in the center, in west, east, all over the places. There are some pockets of resistance still, so clearing operation probably will take another day or two, and then Defense Ministry of the Russian Federation will officially confirm, I think, liberation of Seversk. Maybe this will happen today even, right, or tomorrow. But city is under Russian control. Major developments, by the way. I was saying, I was predicting that either Liman or Seversk, or maybe both, will be liberated before end of this year. And well, another my prediction became true, man. Good, great. And this is not all when it comes to success of the Russian militaries on the battlefield. This morning, we have this report also from TASS news agency that Russian armed forces liberated Liman settlement in the Kharkov region. This is not a city Liman in the DPR on the western side of Seversk, but this is a village of Liman on the southern western part side of Volchansk city. And in previous my updates, I was talking about progress of the Russian armed forces in this settlement, in this village. And I was expecting clearing operation to be finalized shortly, and that's exactly what happened. And well, another my prediction is true now. The Russian Defense Ministry is confirming that yes, Liman village, Liman settlement is under full Russian control now. And this is not all. Russian armed forces are finalizing clearing operation in Svetla and Grishina settlements in a DPR. Let me give you some details on that. So servicemen from the Russian forces, center group of forces, are clearing the villages of Svetla and Grishina in Donetsk People's Republic. Russian Defense Ministry is reporting units of the center group of forces continue to destroy encircled Ukrainian armed forces formations in the Vostochny and Zapadny micro districts of the village of the Dmitrov city, which is a Mirnograd city, by the way, as well as clearing the villages of Svetla and Grishina in the Donetsk People's Republic. And well, when it comes to Mirnograd, dear friends, I have said numerous times that there is allegedly 1,000 to 2,000 Kiev regime's troops encircled in the northern part, main body of this city, Mirnograd, or Dimitrov, Russian name. And different speculations were shared on the internet in past several days. Kiev regime's propaganda was pushing the narrative that some significant part of this encircled troop managed to escape from Dmitrov. I did not see no confirmation of this report on any Russian media outlet, so I don't believe in that report that Kiev regime's forces managed to escape. Significant number of them managed to escape from Dmitrov. But what we know for sure is that Russian armed forces are offering opportunity for encircled troops of Kiev regime to lay down arms and surrender. And some units are accepting this offer and saving their lives. Some units don't. And when they don't, artillery and air force is called in. And that particular unit is, in most cases, vaporized. right? And I can show you another short video, by the way, on this very topic of FAB 3000 strike on the point of concentration of Kyiv regime's forces that refused to surrender. And that's the video, by the way. This is Mirnograd. There is snow, little snow in the city already. And well, in this building, unit of Kyiv regime was located. They did not surrender. Air Force was called in. FAB 3000 strike. And well, you can imagine what is left from that unit. Literally nothing, right? That's it. Probably other units that are encircled somewhere there in not far away from that building. Once they see what happened to their comrades that refuse to surrender, probably they will think a little better. Do they want to be vaporized, or maybe they want to save their lives? And let's hope they will make right decision, by the way, because especially if those units are built up from forcefully mobilized military personnel. They don't have to die. They don't have to die for Western geopolitical agenda and the Kyiv regime, right? They just don't. So hopefully they will make right decision, accept Russian offer, lay down arms, and surrender. Anyways, Russian armed forces continue liberating more and more areas that are temporarily occupied by NATO and NATO proxies. And for example, in my previous update, I reported that Russian militaries liberated Novodanilovka settlement, which is a big deal. This is Zaporizhzhia sector. And after liberating Novodanilovka, I think there is a neighboring village, Novoandreevka, that is named, if I remember correctly, on the southern western side of Orechov. And once that village is liberated, then we will most likely see a major offensive on Orechov city itself. And who knows, maybe Orechov garrison will crack and fall as fast as Seversk garrison did, by the way. Seversk garrison was crushed like literally in a couple of days. I myself was surprised, even though I'm reporting about progress of the Russian armed forces on daily basis. Even I was surprised with the speed of advance of Russian troops inside the city, by the way. This is urbanized area, right? And it's always difficult to conduct rapid offensives inside their cities because they are heavily fortified. But I guess Kyiv regime's garrison just cracked there and collapsed completely. So yes, Novodanilovka is liberated. Also, Chervona settlement, which is located on the northern side of Konstantinovka, another hotspot, and Russian troops already conducting operations in the Konstantinovka. And also, Russian troops liberated Astapovskaya settlement in the Dnipropetrovsk region. This is all very important, of course. And let me show you all this stuff on the map now. So when it comes to Zaporizhzhia region, let's start from here. Stepnogorsk, by the way. Stepnogorsk still is our main hotspot on the western flank of Zaporizhzhia. No reports about this settlement being completely liberated yet by Russian forces, but soon this town is going to be liberated. I just mentioned Novodanilovka, isn't it? Settlement that is liberated by Russian forces, was liberated in previous few days. That's their settlement on the southern eastern side of Orechov city, which is a major stronghold of Kyiv regime in the central part of Zaporizhzhia sector. And this is Novoandreevka village, as I mentioned, on the southern western side of Orechov. And I think Russian troops will focus now on Novoandreevka. Nothing will stand there before Russian troops to launch offensive on Orechov itself, on the Kyiv regime's garrison in Orechov. And on the western side, on the western flank of Zaporizhzhia sector is, of course, Gulyai-Polye, major stronghold of Kyiv regime. And, well, videos are circulating, by the way, on internet in which Russian troops are depicted in the central parts of the city already. Earlier, there was reports that most eastern and southern parts of the city were liberated by Russian forces already in Gulyaipole, but yet again, videos are circulating when Russian troops are operating in the central parts of the Gulyaipole. So it might well happen that Russian troops will liberate Gulyaipole also before end of this year. Maybe before end of next week, right? But there is high probability that before end of this year, Gulyaipole probably will be liberated by Russian troops. Also, when it comes to Pokrovsk, Mirnograd, by the way, this is the Mirnograd, Pokrovsk is under full Russian control, you know it. When it comes to Mirnograd, southern parts are already under Russian control, and Russian troops are finalizing clearing operation there. When it comes to northern part, which is completely encircled by Russian forces, is largely controlled still by Kiev regime's forces, and the Russian militaries are yet again contacting these units one by one, offering opportunity to lay down arms and surrender. If they accept, okay, they are taken a prisoner. If they don't, then, as I already showed you, air forces called in or artillery, missile forces, and their particular unit that refused to surrender is obliterated. That's what is happening, and therefore, I really don't understand what the hell Kiev regime's troops are doing in Mirnograd. Why all of them did not yet surrender? They're not gonna survive, man. Some of them might escape. Yes, but most of them will die in these Russian long-range strikes. So, I mean, I can understand when neo-Nazi formations are refusing to surrender because they know they're not going to be treated based on Geneva Conventions because they are designated as a terrorist organization, this Azov, Kraken, and all the others. They are designated here in Russia officially as a terrorist organizations, and members of those terrorist organizations they're not going to be treated based on Geneva Convention because Geneva Convention is not apply on terrorists, right? Only on actual militaries. And therefore, I can understand why these neo-Nazi terrorist formations are afraid to surrender. But other troops, by the way, regular forces, troops that were forcefully mobilized, no matter under what pressure they are, under what Kiev regime, how Kiev regime terrified them or scared them that their relatives going to be targeted if they surrender, or something else, and they being targeted, by the way, right? But nevertheless, I mean, common sense have to prevail, isn't it? What is the point to die in a FAP 3000 strike? You tell me, dear friends, because I don't understand. It's not heroism. It's just stupidity. It's literally stupidity. It has nothing to do with courage or heroism. It's just stupid. It's just stupid, man. Right? To die when you know you are encircled. You did the try to fight, right? You did what you could. You lost. You've been encircled, and now either you are gonna surrender or bring FAP 3000 gonna came in and just obliterate everything and everybody, right? So what is the point to die in that strike? Just contact Russian side and surrender, but they are afraid, man. I don't know what Kiev regime is doing to these people, what they do to brains of these people, how they are scaring them that much, right? And there are different stories, isn't it? One, and most effective, is that they are telling forcefully mobilized troops that if they surrender, their relatives are going to be targeted. And this works on many, right? Because they are afraid that if they surrender or run away, their relatives are going to end up in a trouble. There are also cases when these are based on interviews of POWs themselves, by the way. There are many cases when POWs are told that Russians are not taking no POWs. So if you try to surrender, they will kill you. Which is lie, by the way. There's thousands, and if Russians are not taking POWs, how come that there is tens of thousands of POWs in Russian hands, right? And thousands and thousands of POWs already being exchanged, right? So this is not true what this military is being told by Kiev regime propagandists, but nevertheless, man, they are scared. They are scared, and they are dying for a Western geopolitical agenda and Zelensky's regime. It's crazy. It's sad, actually, right? Especially these forcefully mobilized people, by the way. I mean, they never wanted to be on the front line in the first place, right? But, it's tragedy, man. This is everything that is happening, by the way, is a tragedy for the Russian world, man, because these people are Russian world too. Most of them, right, are part of Russian world, of course. This is a civil war, as I said many times before. Civil war that unfortunately West did manage to provoke. To continue on the battles, on update on the battlefield, friends, Konstantinovka, of course, is another hotspot in the DPR. And as I already mentioned, Chervona settlement on the northeastern side of Konstantinovka is liberated by Russian forces, and I expect the northern part of Konstantinovka to be liberated first, and then southern part of the city that is divided by river Krivoy Tariffs, right? And yeah, let's see. Initiative is in Russian hand, by the way, in Konstantinovka area also, and well, Seversk, of course, Seversk, northern part of Donetsk sector. This is the Seversk, which is practically under full Russian control. There might be some pockets of resistance here and there, but generally speaking, city is under Russian control now. And liberated, yet again, cleaning operation will be finalized probably in next day or two, and Defense Ministry will make it official. Defense Ministry will confirm liberation of this settlement. Also, Russian troops conducting offensives on enemy forces in Zakatnaya settlement, which is based on in between Seversk and Liman. And as you know, Seversk and Liman was two major strongholds of Kiev regime on the northern sector that were acting as a kind of a wall, defensive wall for last strongly fortified defensive area of Kiev regime, which is Slavyansk-Kramatorsk agglomeration, right? And this northeastern defense wall, let's say, is collapsing. It's collapsing, by the way. And once Russian troops will liberate Liman, and I think there is a probability that maybe even before end of this year, Russian troops will establish control over the Liman. Well, after that, there is literally nothing that the regime can do to stop Russian advance towards Slavyansk-Kramatorsk. It is what it is. So major success of Russian troops, obviously, in a DPR by liberating this city of Seversk. And I mentioned Liman's village also, isn't it? This morning, Russian media, based on Defense Ministry's update, reported that Liman village on the southwestern part of Volchansk city is under Russian control. And this is the village, by the way, that you see right now on your screen. Relatively small village, maybe like 3-4 dozen of buildings, 50-60 buildings, but nevertheless, at this point, this village does has strategical importance, and the Russian troops are focused on Vilcha also, and I expect maybe even before end of this week, in next several days, Vilcha settlement to be liberated by Russian forces. When it comes to Volchansk, by the way, Volchansk is already like week or two is already under full Russian control and liberated. And this is it for a short summary of the situation on a battlefield. As you can see, initiative is in Russian hands all along the front line, and I will say there is not even a theoretical chance in this or any other universes that Turkey regime and its NATO backers will manage to regain initiative in any direction. They lost this proxy war that they are waging against Russia, Western elites, and sooner they will acknowledge this, the better, I will say.